Welcome to a Bears game day edition of Three's a Crowd. I'm Preston Vargas alongside Eli Atwood. Eli, how was your weekend?
It's pretty good, but I'm ready for some Bears football today.
Yes, 15 days off is a way too long a break. I'm ready for tonight. Now we'll get into the lead story. The Chiefs beat the Lions 30 to 17, and obviously we know Brian Branch started a fight with JuJu Smith-Schuster post game. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bad look for Brian Branch and Lions as a whole. You got to keep your head under control after the game ends, especially.
Yeah, credit to Dan Campbell for apologizing to Andy Reid after that incident, but you can't do that. You can't do that as a professional football player. I mean, even if it was something on the field you thought everything went the Chiefs' way that game in terms of officiating, you can't start fights on the field, especially post game.
Yeah, exactly. That's still inexcusable.
And with the Lions, some people say they were the favorites in the NFC. Do you still think so?
Um, I mean, I would say they're up there. I don't know if I'd put them at number one. I'm not sure I have a number one to be honest with you, but they're in consideration.
All I
I
know is
wouldn't.
that the NFC is wide open after the Eagles lost this past week.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the NFC is really anybody's for the taking at this point.
I'm Tampa Bay. You could argue they're in the conversation with Baker Mayfield, and I think Detroit will be fine. They just ran into a pretty good team in Kansas City, who are now 3-3, and they're going on to the Chiefs. How do you think they're set up now for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was an important win. To go to 3-3 instead of 2-4 is a pretty big difference. So they should be able to catapult off of that and continue this season with success.
Kansas City starting off slow. I think they in 2021 they started off 2-4 and found themselves in the AFC title game. They're 3-3 now. I think that with the Chiefs' remaining schedule, they should be a little bit easier for them after a rough start to the a hard schedule to start the season. But you got the Raiders and Commanders at home coming up. Those should be the Raiders game should be a win for them, although they have struggled against the Raiders historically
That is true. I
with
mean, even
Mahomes.
when the Raiders really suck, and this year the Raiders aren't good, but they're not as bad as they have been some of the years where there still wasn't to them. So it's
I was,
possible.
the Titans game with the Raiders did beat the Titans, but it's the Titans. They should technically be 0-6 if Arizona didn't uh, collapse. But I agree the Raiders should be a win. Kansas City, 11-point favorite at home. That's a 1 o'clock start. So I think the Chiefs will be fine headed down the stretch. Then we'll move on to some significant news in college football. James Franklin getting fired from Penn State yesterday. He lost his previous two games as 20-point favorites. I think that's the most by a team in consecutive weeks as 20-point favorites and you lose since the FCS FBS split in the late 70s. What does this mean for Penn State moving forward?
Yeah, I think this is a good move to start a new future for Penn State. James Franklin struggled a lot in the offseason. Not the offseason, but postseason, I should say.
Yes.
And he's been there for 12 years and hasn't accomplished much. I mean, they've always been a good team, just never good enough. And I think that's where this frustration's finally come to tipping point.
I mean, you had in the offseason, they made a run to the semifinals, which was unexpected. You had high hopes for this season. They're preseason number two, even though I said at the time that they shouldn't have been preseason number two over Ohio State, who they haven't won since 2016. And then you started off good. You beat, and who'd they beat? They beat a bunch of FCS teams, or not FCS, group of five teams, and one FCS team.
Yeah.
And you play Oregon in a big game in the whiteout. You take them to overtime, but then you lose, which isn't the wasn't the end of the world. Then you go to UCLA, you lose to an 0-4 team. First time I think a top 10 team lost to a team that was 0-4 or worse in the season. The Northwestern, who's quietly having a decent season, you lose to them at home, and then you lost Drew Aller for the season. I think it was time. You couldn't get it done in the big games. His only top 10 win, only win against the
This
top
season,
10.
they can't even get it done in the little games.
Yes. I mean, the little games were his bread and butter, beating
Yeah.
up on weaker Big Ten teams. You can't even do that this year. But I think Penn State, money won't be an issue for them to find a head coach. So I think Penn State will need to rebuild the next couple of years, and they should be back. They got the alumni to support the team, a lot of money behind it. I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Then back to NFL football. The Panthers upsetting the Cowboys 30 to 27. Rico Dowdle going off against his former team, and then Dak Prescott had over 250 yards, passing three touchdowns, but the defense disappointed again, allowing 30 points. What do you make of the Dallas Cowboys and their defensive struggles?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised about it. They've got Matt Eberflus. They've got no talent on defense. I mean, it's just a bad combination right there, especially when you got a team that's trying to get some wins here with Carolina, who's really been bad the past 2 years and is maybe seeing some hope this year. It's not a good combination.
This is the this is the they've only two games they haven't allowed 30 points, and that was against the Jets and the Eagles. So in four of six games, you've allowed 30 plus points. So
Yeah, and the two games that you don't are against teams who have subpar offenses, honestly. I mean, I think the Eagles have reached that category at this point.
yes. I was watching Get Up this morning. Rex Ryan was calling out the defense for on a 4th and 5. You had someone 30 yards up the field instead of guarding the line to gain. I mean, you can't do that if you're
Yeah,
a defense. They
no, for sure. I mean, it's the Matt Eberflus way.
I think this is beyond just losing Micah Parsons. I mean, you still have some decent players on defense like Deron Bland. You should be 30th in defense. You still got some talent on that team.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd argue the opposite. I think they are working with a pretty weak roster. They've got a couple corners who are okay. Otherwise, not much to work with.
But on the other side for the Panthers, two straight wins rattled off. They're now at 500 at 3-3. And they got the Jets next week, and then they got the Bills at home, which they should lose that game. But Bryce Young, his stat line, 199 yards, three passing touchdowns, one interception. Do you think Bryce Young is starting to mold into a decent quarterback?
Yeah, I think he's starting to get there. That was his eighth career game-winning drive, which, I mean, considering the amount of games the Panthers have won in the past few years, that's quite a few of them.
Hmm.
So being able to show that he can finish out some of these games, I think, is a good sign for the future.
I'm his benching last year, I think helped him a lot watching the game from the sideline. something he didn't get to do his rookie season. And we thought that was going to be the end for Bryce Young, but I think he's starting to mold into a good franchise quarterback. I think next year we get him used to David Canales. I think that he'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, as he's starting to figure it out, it's just taking a little longer, I think, than most guys, but I think he'll get there.
I think so too. And the Panthers, they'll have two AFC East opponents before playing Green Bay at Lambeau. That's going to be a tough one. And then you have
Yeah,
the Saints and Falcons, two divisional games. And there's a path for I don't think the Panthers will make the playoffs this year, but if they win one of the games that they shouldn't win, I think they could find themselves sneaking in as the seventh seed.
yeah, I think that's definitely possible. I do think they have a bit of an easy schedule, which that's helping them out. So I'm not sure they'd do well in the playoffs, but I could see them making it.
It helps when you finish last in your division the past few years.
Yeah,
You play a fourth place schedule against other fourth place teams. But I think
and
they
you're in
finished
the
third place
NFC South.
in the NFC South too. Yeah. They did play four game. No, I'm sorry. They finished third in the NFC South last year over New Orleans in the last game.
Yeah,
You see, they play their NFC West opponent, or although they played the entire NFC West this year as part of their non-conference slate. Their prize for finishing third is to play the Packers, who finished third.
yeah, that's pretty rough.
So, not as it's not as good to finish third because they play the Jaguars week one.
Yeah, it's kind of a double whammy there of teams that have turned it around. Or I guess in the Packers sense, a team that was a good third seed last year.
Yeah. Then we'll move on to the Dolphins game. They lost to the Chargers by a field goal, or a game-winning field goal by Cameron Dicker, but that's not the big story. Big story is Tua Tagovailoa calling out his teammates in a post-game press conference for missing players-only meetings. You're in week six now. You're fall to 1-5. What does this mean for Mike McDaniel as the head coach?
I think this is a bad look for the whole team. I mean, you got the quarterback publicly talking about this. That's not good. Needs to be some sort of understanding from the inside of this team that, hey, we need to lock in and finish out these games. But I'm thinking that's not going to happen until McDaniel's out of there.
I agree with you. McDaniel's not a leader of men. He's good offensive mind, but he can't lead the team that well, and it shows. I mean, if you have players missing meetings and it's week six, you got a maturity problem and a leadership problem on that team. And you're right, it's not going to be fixed under Mike McDaniel. It's going to be finished under a new regime, new general manager, new head coach. And it's tough in Miami right now on all sides.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Uh,
is Tua still a starting quarterback in the league because 205 passing yards, he had one touchdown, three picks. Although one pick wasn't his fault. Jalen Waddle, it hit his hands, bounced up, and then was picked. I mean,
I think Tua is about as good as I've always thought he is. He's all right. He's not great. He's not terrible. He can make it happen in the right circumstances, but as his team starts to fall apart, he's not good enough to lift him up.
I think he hasn't been good against good teams. That's his problem. He can beat up against bad teams. When that doesn't work, then he loses. Your only win of the season was to the winless Jets, who now fall to 0-6. So they need to turn around. They got Cleveland next week, which should be an easier game for them, but I'd still want to count that as a win for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think they're getting that one either, to be honest. I mean, there's only a few teams I think that they should beat at least.
They have a 4-game homestand. Who has a 4-game homestand? They got the Ravens, Bills, Commanders, and Saints at home in succession with a bye week squeezed in between. I think their next win will come against the Saints.
Yeah, I could see that. Saints definitely a winnable game for them.
And maybe the Ravens too on that Thursday night after
Yeah, I
the
mean, I
Bears.
think if Lamar is back, which I think he should be by then, probably not, but we'll see.
But after their road game against the Falcons, they don't go on the road until December. So they play the
Oh
Falcons
yeah.
on October 26th, then go on the road to the Jets December 7th. That's their next road game after that.
Yeah, it's a long stretch. I mean, I guess they started with a lot of away games here early on.
They also factor in the 17th game of the season, which I think the AFC has
True.
more home games.
Yeah.
But then let's go to our favorite segment, Rapid Fire. I'll give you 2 minutes on the clock for 5 games. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right, we'll start with 49ers and Buccaneers. Fred Warner lost to the season, another crippling injury for the Niners. What does this mean for them moving forward?
It's a couple of good teams here, but losing Fred Warner is definitely pretty big. I think Niners lost a few people there. I saw Pinheiro got his foot stepped on,
Yeah,
so that resulted in an injury as well. I assume that won't be a long-term injury, but still. And just they need to be able to finish out these type of games, even though, I mean, this is like the tale as old as time with the Niners getting hurt. So,
yes. Bad last year, it's worse this year. Broncos and Jets over in London. Justin Fields sacked 9 times. It's time for a QB change for the gangrene.
I mean, I definitely think they should at least consider it, if nothing else. I mean, I don't know if Fields is the only problem though either necessarily. It's not like they really had much running game or their defense did do okay, I guess, holding them to just 13 points, but still.
Colts win a shootout against the Cardinals and their backup Jacoby Brissett. Do you still consider the Colts as contenders in the AFC?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Colts are still a good team. I mean, obviously this game was a little closer than maybe we thought it was going to be, but still, Jacoby Brissett played well. I think that kind of translated into success for the Cardinals team.
Bengals Packers from Lambeau. Packers won by 9. Are they still are they the best team in the NFC North?
I mean, I would say probably not. I think I'd put the Lions best team in the North still, even though they did take them week one. I still don't quite see it with the Packers, honestly.
And finally, Seattle at Jacksonville. Seattle gained the win. I think they got a game-winning field goal in the end, but to put it away, does Seattle run the NFC North or the
I
NFC West?
mean,
Sorry.
NFC West, yeah, but I think they could. The Jaguars, I feel like, are a little inconsistent, They were due for a loss in a way. But at the same time, Seahawks, I think it's still a good win for them regardless.
And that's the end of our rapid fire segment. And now our other favorite segment, Bears game tonight. We play the Commanders. Monday Night Football, 8:15 Eastern on ABC. Caleb Williams coming off a decent game against the Raiders, led the team to a comeback win. Obviously, Josh Blackwell hit the game-winning field goal. Then we go into our bye. We're all rested now. Seems like we're healthier. We play Commanders team who I think they're 3-2 right now. So this is a winnable game for us, even though I think we're 4.5 point underdog. What do you expect from tonight?
Yeah, I think this will be a good battle of teams. We'll see what happens here with both. It's kind of like the rematch of last year with the immaculate reception, I guess some would say. I mean, not a great look for the Bears there, but hopefully they've learned from that and they'll be more mature as we go into this game here.
What I'm looking from this game is motivation. Look at that Hail Mary last year as motivation. Tyreek Stevenson, I expect a big game from him to avenge the loss that he caused against the Commanders last year that derailed our season.
For sure. I mean, Stevenson's been making up for it so far this year. Hopefully he keeps that up.
I think he's due for a big one tonight. And Caleb Williams against that defense for the Commanders. Commanders defense is overrated in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they're ninth in points allowed per game, which is not bad, not great. It's still top 10, but they have had a bit of a easier schedule, I think, here to start, right?
So who do they play to start the season? They beat the Chargers away, and then you lost to the Falcons, lost to the Packers on the road, but then beat the Raiders and Giants at home. But both the Giants and Raiders, you could argue that the Bears are better than both those teams significantly. We
Yeah,
beat the
for
Raiders head
sure.
to head.
Yeah, I
So
think really the only good win for them here is the Chargers. So
that game I was rooting for the Commanders to win so they wouldn't play desperate against the Bears. If they had lost that game, fallen to 2-3, they'd be on a 2-game losing streak, wouldn't want to go to a 3-game losing streak. So they're not as desperate today.
for sure, yeah.
So let's get a score prediction. What's the score going to be tonight?
The Bears, 72, Commanders, -7.
I think it'll be the same as the 1940 NFL championship game. We played the then Washington Redskins. Um, Bears 73, Commanders nothing. We win that game soundly. And that's going to do it for us today. Bear down. We'll see you tonight for the game. And join us again on Friday when we preview college football and recap Thursday night football. Thank you guys for watching.